Hey everyone, it's Bethany. In this tutorial, I am going to be creating a really cool decal for my laptop. I've been thinking about doing this for a while, and I've been just kind of behind the scenes playing with ideas of how exactly I wanted to do it and what kind of elements I wanted to bring together, and I think it's going to turn out really fun, so I'm so excited to show you my idea for it. So for my materials, I'm not actually putting a decal on my actual laptop. This is actually let me see if I can kind of pop it off. I can. So it is a laptop case. So I am going to be putting my sticker or decal on that. I'm just too nervous to put anything on my actual physical laptop just because I feel like that's such a commitment to say I'm going to love the same look forever. So I'm going to be putting it on the case. So I just wanted to give that clarification because it is a clear case, so it's not completely obvious on camera, but this is a protective case on top, and that is where I'll be putting my decal. So for materials, obviously I'll be doing this on my case. I'm going to be doing a combination of print and cut, so I'm going to be doing a printable vinyl, and then I'm going to also be doing some adhesive vinyl. So I will share what exact colors I am going to do later. I'm first going to print my actual decal out first, and then I'm going to kind of color match with my vinyl. And so you guys will see kind of what colors I end up choosing once that print and cut prints. So we'll get there. So printable vinyl, some regular vinyl, a squeegee tool, and then scissors, a weeding tool, and then a true control knife is going to come in handy. This is just going to help us save some vinyl down the road. And then I'm also going to be using two different types of transfer tape. So I'm going to be using the masking transfer tape for my print and cut or printable vinyl. And then I'm going to be using some, I think I'm going to use this Cricut Joy transfer tape because it's the only clear transfer tape I have, and I think it'll come in handy with the design I'm going to do. So if anything changes, then always just check the description box below this video. I list all the materials that I use, and that can come quite in handy if you want to recreate this look yourself. So let's go ahead and I'm going to get the measurements for this. I think my measuring tape walked off the table somewhere. So I will get the measurements and we'll get them in Design Space. I think it was 13.5 by 9.5 I believe was when I measured the first time. So I will make sure that those are correct, and let's pop into Design Space. We will get to designing this, and I think you're really going to like this idea. Now remember, you guys can do whatever you guys like. You can use whatever colors, whatever elements. So this is just what I'm going to do. So make sure you just take the tips and tricks and materials and do whatever you would like to put your own spin and personality on your own laptop case. All right, everyone, let's get started. Okay, so here we are in Cricut Design Space, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a replica of my laptop. So this is going to help me just design my decal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to Shapes, and I'm going to click the square button, and I am going to unlock in this bottom left corner, click the unlock button because the shape I'm working with in my laptop is not a perfect square. So I did measure, and my width is 13.75 and my height is 9.5. Okay, so now what I'll do is I will just color this white, and then just to kind of keep the integrity, I'm going to go into images and I will search for an apple because there is a little apple right in the middle of the laptop that I want to make sure I steer clear of. And I believe I measured that as well, and it was okay, so let me unlock this. It was like 1.25 by 1.5. So I'm just going to get close here. Okay. That's about good. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select both of these and just highlight both of them, and I'm going to come up here to align, and I'm going to say center. And that's just going to center that apple right in the middle. So this is just kind of pretend like this is my laptop so I can kind of design around it. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over and go to images, and I am going to search for scallop. I think it's scalloped circle. Scalloped circle. Okay, and the one I want to use is this one. So I'm going to go ahead and insert my image, and I'm just going to kind of place this first one right around the apple. And then again, I can go ahead and highlight everything and say align center. Okay, so that little centering button really just helps everything. That way we can just keep designing and know everything is centered. So the next thing I am going to do is I'm going to keep adding images, and I am going to do, the one I really like is called Decorative Leaf Frame. Ooh, leaf, I mean. I think I said lead. Okay, Decorative Leaf Frame. Okay, and it's this one right here. So I'm going to go ahead and insert this. Okay, and so then I'm just going to make this one a little bit bigger and place it here. Okay, so now again, selecting all the layers, align center, perfect. And I am going to color, let's see, I'll add the next one first before I do any other colors. Okay, so then the next thing I'm gonna do is images, and then I'm gonna add my print and cut. And that one is called, oh goodness, what is it called? Is it called water? Let me just type in watercolor floral and see what pops up. Okay, I know it's in this family. There it is. Okay, so that one right here, and we'll see what the name is to you guys. Okay, so it's called Watercolor Garland, just in case you guys want to use that. So this one has a solid center in it, so I'm actually going to be doing a little bit of slicing just to kind of get this however, or the exact way I want. So I'm actually going to use this little scallop circle, so I'm going to duplicate that again, and I am going to bring this up and bring it just around here. Okay, now I'm going to select both of these. So, okay, select both of them, and then I'm going to align center. Okay, now they're centered together, and I'm going to go ahead and hit slice. Okay, so now I can delete this one and delete this. Oops, I deleted the wrong one. Let's go back out. Let's see, delete this back one. Okay, and so now I'm left with this nice little scalloped floral element that I really like. Okay, so I'm going to come over here and add this one. Okay, looking good. Okay, and then I am going to repeat this scallop circle. I'm going to duplicate that, and I am going to make that one bigger. And once it's bigger, it gets to be really, really thick. So I don't like how thick this is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another slice. So I'm just going to grab another circle, and I'm going to bring it on in here. And I'm just going to cover, just to kind of thin out the distance between the inner circle and the outer circle. So I'm just going to cover and kind of pull out a little bit. And then I'm going to select my scallop circle and my circle, and I'm going to align center, and I'm going to slice. So now slicing is just when you're slicing, you are placing an object or shape over the area that you want to take away. So I was putting that circle over the place I want to take away, and see, it just slices it right off. So now I'm left with this nice scalloped circle that's just thinner. So then I'm just going to go like this. Okay. And then I can again grab everything and say align center. Okay, so that is where I'm going with that. So I am going to make the scallops, so both the scallops are going to be a really nice light pink. And they will cut out of the same vinyl. So that's that look. And then this decorative leaf frame is going to be a kind of a mint color. Okay, so again, I'm gonna kind of color match once I get this print and cut printed, because we're gonna have, let's see, how many different cuts we're gonna have. The printable vinyl is gonna print here. We are going to have one mat doing the light pink and then one mat doing the mint. So we have 3 different cuts. So that's awesome. So now what I can do is I can go ahead and hide my apple because we don't need the Cricut to cut out an apple. We can hide this rectangle because we don't need it cutting out the rectangle. And these are the only elements that we need. So I'm going to be using my maker because I'm doing printable vinyl. And then I am going to click Make It. So now what's going to happen is they are going to place each element on the mats, and what we're going to do now is we are going to put, the first one is going to be printable vinyl, and again it verifies it over here as print then cut, and then the second one, I wonder if I can move, yes, I'm going to move this one right in here, maybe up in here, just to kind of save some vinyl. Okay. So I'm going to move that there so that will cut just like this. And then my third one will be this nice little leaf garland. Okay, so when I go ahead and click continue, now something to mention, if you have a lot of other projects in mind that you know you're going to be using printable vinyl with, you can go ahead and continue adding things so that you only use one piece of printable vinyl for multiple projects. That way you don't waste this. For this project, I don't have anything other than this that I'm working on right now. So I'm going to be doing this as this. Okay, so I'm going to click continue, and then what I'll do is say send to printer, and then I'm going to say add bleed. So I think I need to put my new printer in there because I got a new printer in the meantime. My other one decided that it was completely done. Randomly. So that was really fun during all my crafting and / homeschooling that has all been brought upon in the last few weeks. So we have a new printer. I need to put that in here, and then we will hit print. So again, add bleed. And then what I'll do is I will browse materials, and we will say printable vinyl. Okay. And let's search there, printable vinyl, and we'll just favorite this and then say done. And then when I do come back to do these cuts, I will have to come in and change these from printable vinyl to vinyl. So I just want to make sure you guys know that you do need to come back in and change your settings, because one is going to be print then cut that needs to be printed on printable vinyl, and then, or cut on printable vinyl. And then the next, of course, the second 2 mats will be vinyl. So make sure you come back in and change your settings. All right, let's go ahead and get everything printed and cut, and we'll get everything put on the laptop. Okay, so it printed out. It looks really nice. I love how it looks. And so now what I'm going to do is I decided on taking the mint out, and I'm going to do a kind of a play with 2 pinks. So I'm going to do a blush and then a brighter pink. I think that'll be really fun because there's multiple pinks in there, and the teal just wasn't matching quite right because this is more of like a lime and hunter forest combo. So it just wasn't looking quite right to my eye. So those are the 2 colors that I decided would look best. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to load my printable vinyl onto my mat. So it's very important, if you guys have watched my videos before, this is going to be repetitive to you, but if you're new to printable vinyl, it's going to be very important that you leave these black lines or this black box on your cut, because those are registration lines or registration marks, and that is what your Cricut will use to read the image. So what the Cricut will do is it's going to go through and scan the lines individually on each side, and then it will know in reference to those lines where the image is and where it needs to cut. So it's just very important that once it comes out of your printer, just leave it as is, place it on your mat just as it comes out of your printer, and you'll be just fine. So I'm going to go ahead and just use my brayer tool just to get that down on the mat really good. And then again, our settings are printable vinyl, and we will just go ahead and load the Cricut. So I'm using my maker again, and then I'll hit the flashing arrow button, and then the Cricut button will flash when it's ready. Says it is, and then it's going to go ahead and scan. So again, the first thing it'll do is it'll go through and just do the scans of the registration marks, and then it will do the cuts from there. Okay, so now that that's done, I will go ahead and unload it, and what I'll do is I will just flip my mat on upside down and then peel the mat from the design. That just helps it not to curl, and the cut looks really good. Okay, so now I'm just going to load my hot pink color. I'm not sure that this is called hot pink, but this brighter pink. So I'm going to load this one. Now this is going to be the 2 scalloped circles. So thought this would be a nice, this is kind of going to be the more prominent color on my laptop. I think that it'll be really nice because it'll pop really well with the opaque or white color case. So what I'm going to do is I will just load that in, and now remember I do need to go back into Cricut Design Space and I need to change the settings from printable vinyl to regular vinyl. So I'm going to do that and get it all set, and then we'll get to cutting this piece. So while that one's cutting, these are going to be very quick cuts because they are just little scallop circles, so no worries, everything's pretty quick. I think honestly the time will be spent in designing and slicing and all the design space part. So, okay, so I'm just gonna cut off my little scrap pieces for my printable vinyl there and leave this one behind. And then what I'm gonna do is I am just going to weed out this piece. We can just kind of start weeding as we go. Okay, and then there's just that little middle area too. Okay, so there is our printable vinyl. I'm trying to decide if I even want to apply this like a, you know, with transfer tape, if I want to do it as a sticker, but we will just keep playing around with everything. Sometimes I change my mind as I go, and that's just part of crafting. So, okay, so this one is done, and now we'll just place our last vinyl roll on. We'll cut that in a minute. And this one is going to be that pretty little vine, so just a tiny little piece is going to be used here. I love this blush color. This one is actually Paper Studio, and I believe it's a permanent as well. Yes. Okay. I buy this every time I go, whether I need it or not, because it's just my favorite color. You guys know this. You guys know this if you've been watching my videos, that I love this color. Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll just cut away our extras here. Being careful not to cut our design. So you always want to cut off your extra vinyl before you weed, because once you weed and remove the vinyl from the carrier sheet, that vinyl is done. So you want to make sure all your pieces are cut out before you do so. So, for example, there is a lot of extra space within this middle section. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my True Control knife, and I'm just going to, let's see if I can show you. I'm just going to cut my extra vinyl out before I weed it. That way I can save some of my scrap pieces. Okay. Whoops. Oh, no. Okay, so I have a little piece of scrap there, and then I have quite a bit down here. And I like to do them in, you know, rectangular shapes because that's easiest to load on our mat. Kind of got a little silly with this one, but that's okay. Okay, so again, I'm just cutting out my extra vinyl because that is really usable. Okay, that would have just gone in the trash. So before you weed, make sure if you have any major spaces that you want to salvage, make sure you just use your X-Acto knife or your True Control knife to take those out, and then now you can save that. So that's awesome. Okay, so then this one is done. Looks great, and we're just going to do the exact same thing. So I will go ahead and do that. Then I will go ahead and bring the camera forward, and we will start weeding everything and getting everything ready for application. Okay, real quick before I weed, because I want to make sure this dries and I'm not rushing it at all, I'm just going to take a little bit of rubbing alcohol, and I'm just going to clean off the case. I've had this case for quite a while, so there's probably, yuck, there's probably a ton of stuff because I carry this around the house all the time, doing design space stuff while I watch TV. Okay, so I just want to make sure that, you know what, I'm going to do another one. That is a lesson learned, that this needs to be wiped off more. Okay. So this is just going to remove all of the dirt, dust, and oils from your hands from carrying around your laptop. That way your vinyl will just lay down really nice and smooth. Okay. Just going to help it stick better. So that's nice and clean. Okay, now let's start weeding. Now that is all perfect. I feel so much better about that after seeing what came off of that. Oh, goodness. God love it. Okay, so now we'll just start weeding our little pieces. Again, I'll just take my True Control knife and I will just remove the inner extra vinyl, because if I just weeded it as is, this is a lot of vinyl that I'm going to waste. That's at least a 2" by 2" square. And you guys know that a lot of projects are kind of small in nature, so we can definitely use that piece. So again, saving that. Okay, so now I'm just going to take my weeding tool and I'll just weed out all of the surrounding area, leaving behind the design that I'm working with on the little carrier sheet. So I did that part, and then I'll just go ahead and grab this middle part. Okay. That's the final for this one. That's really pretty. I like that a lot. Okay, and now let's go ahead and do this little guy. I always like to start towards the edge. What do you guys do? Let me know how you guys feel about weeding. Do you guys enjoy it, or is it kind of the part that you dread when it's time to craft? I personally love it. There's something oddly gratifying about it. But I know that people either love it or hate it, so it's kind of like coffee creamer, right? People love it or hate it. Okay, so there is the next set. I think these are going to look really neat together. Okay, so I'm just going to remove all my scraps and we can get started. So let me just clear my space here. Actually, I need to get everything on transfer tape. Okay. So let's see, the first one is going to be this little guy. So I think what I'm going to do is I am going to just cut this one out. It'll be easier to apply and transfer it over to the transfer tape if they are separate. So you're going to want to reference, and I'll do that right now on my computer. I'm going to reference my design. That way I kind of know what order things need to lay down in. So I am going to use, I think I'm going to use the Cricut transfer tape for this. You can use the masking transfer tape if you'd like. I'm just going to use the Cricut transfer tape for this because it's clear and it has the grid, so I think it'll just be helpful for me when spacing everything out. So let me go ahead and do that. So now how you guys move forward from this point on is definitely going to be about comfort and personal preference. So you guys can definitely do whatever you want in terms of transfer tape and how you go apply in the order. I think it's going to be easiest to go from the middle out, just for measuring purposes. So I always say though, whatever you like the best is the right answer, because you have to be confident with your method. Okay. And I'm going to keep this little sheet because I'll probably reuse this transfer tape in the future. I'm just going to lay it down right there. I'm going to use my scraper tool and just really press down and scrape down. That way the vinyl starts transferring to the transfer tape and it makes it come off of the carrier sheet easier. So with it face down, I'm just going to pull these apart. Let's find an easier one. Okay. Okay. So I'm just going to get that as centered as I can, taking my time. This is the first one, so everything will be centered off of this now. Okay, so that looks good to me. I'm going to lay it down and just kind of rub with my fingers first. Okay, and then I'm going to take my scraper tool and go light. Being careful, don't press too hard if you are doing it with your laptop, just because your screen is obviously fragile. Okay, that looks awesome. Okay, so the first layer is down. Is everybody breathing? Just breathe. It's all gonna look awesome. Okay, so now let me save this because we can reuse that for another project. Okay, so now we're gonna do this layer. It's kind of like musical chairs with all of the things. Okay, so that Cricut transfer tape worked really, really well. I'm gonna do that again. Some inner, ooh, I had some inner stuff. Let me do another one with this. Okay. And then just, again, using my little pokey tool, my weeding tool, just to help remove that. Okay. And this is just the same step. So just pressing down on the vinyl and the transfer tape. Get it all placed down together. Okay. All right. Cute. I love the colors. It's all coming together so nice. Okay, so just laying that down. Perfect. Okay, and then gently with my scraper tool, and peeling that off. Very cute. I love that design. That little vine looks really, really cool. Okay, where did I put? Oh, right here. It's staring at me. So we'll save this. Okay, so now I think I'm going to do, oh, how do I want to do this? So here's what I'm thinking. If I put this one down, so Print and Cut is very, so it's like has a more of a paper finish instead of vinyl. So I can't put regular transfer tape on it because it will just peel and rip it right up. So I kind of want to do this layer last because then I can just do it with the masking transfer tape and then all the other layers will be protected. So I think I'm going to do this layer next. So what I'll do is I will add a couple layers of transfer tape to this. Okay, I think this is how I'm going to do it. Yeah. Okay, so here we go. I added just a couple layers of transfer tape on top of one another. One little corner isn't covered, but that's okay. It doesn't hurt anything at all. So I'm just going to peel this off. Okay. All right. And then again, this is the outermost layer. Let me bring this towards myself a little bit and probably get up a little higher towards it just so I can really center it. Okay. That looks really good. So now I'm just going to kind of go down the center first and then go out towards the sides. Perfect. Okay, and then I'm just going to peel that layer right off. So now, just to be repetitive, if I had that Print and Cut layer right here, then the transfer tape would have touched it, and this is too strong of a grip for Print and Cut. So I want to put that down last because I didn't want it to come in contact at all with the transfer tape. So that looks really, really nice. It's really smooth too. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, I'm tempted to put this down like a sticker, but I'm too nervous, I think. So let me use, I'm going to use this masking transfer tape. So I've used this before on printable vinyl. I think it's going to actually fit. Ooh, perfect. I've used this before on printable vinyl when I made my Cricut Joy decal. So how I do it is, you're just going to be super careful, quite honestly. You're going to, you know, I don't use my scraper tool. I just kind of get it applied on there and then just kind of rub it down. And then just not give it any more pressure than necessary, if that makes sense. Okay, let me just peel this up. Okay, just like this. All right, so now, you know what I think I'll do is, I think I will make a cut and cut out the middle part just for centering purposes, just so I can see the other pieces. Okay, so what I did was just cut around there. That way I could just, it would help me kind of center. Less transfer tape, the better here. And I'm just going to, when you have less transfer tape also, it kind of makes it just a little trickier to place it because you don't have a lot of steady. Okay, I think that looks good. Okay, load up just a little here. All right. Okay, so I'm just going to lightly lay that down, just enough to get it down. And then when it comes to printable vinyl, remember it's really delicate, but you just lightly peel. And again, you would only want to use this masking transfer tape, in my opinion, on this printable vinyl, because if you use anything stronger, it's just going to rip it. It's just going to literally rip the top layer right off of it. So you guys can see how easily that's pulling up. Now remember, I didn't do any scraping or anything like that. I just kind of used my fingers. You just want to barely get it down. And now, look at that. You guys, that transferred perfectly. So now you can really press that down. Okay, and it's so straight. It looks awesome. Okay, that looks so good. I am so excited about this, you guys. Okay, everyone, that's the final look. I'm super happy with it. It's exactly what I wanted. I love all of the colors and how they coordinate together. And I also really think that it's just very fitting for my personality. So I think it's really fun. And then I love just how there's a different combination of little shapes. And I love the scallop look. I think it's just really sweet. So I think that using the printable vinyl with adhesive vinyl was just a really fun challenge. I wanted to kind of step it up and do something a little bit harder for myself, because it was nice to have to think through, you know, how I would place these and in what order, and how I would maintain the integrity of each material. So I thought that was really fun. So my main tip, and I really want to remind you, I might even recommend that you guys just remove your screen or your case from your laptop when applying this. I just worry that if you are applying too much pressure, I don't want you to damage your screen because they are very fragile screens. So it might be better if you just remove this and do all of your designing, and then once it's done, you can place it right back on. So let's just have that be the recommendation. So if you guys enjoyed this, please give it a thumbs up. I worked really hard on this and I'm so happy that it turned out exactly how I wanted and even better. So leave me a comment, tell me guys what you're up to, what are you guys crafting. I am just missing everybody. It's been a few weeks now that we've just all been safely at home, so it's really fun to chat with you guys and just get together, you know, virtually with our crafts. So I really enjoy hearing from you guys. So make sure you leave me a comment and make sure you're subscribed because there's going to be even more fun crafts coming up. I can't wait for you guys to see what is going to come to the craft table next. All right, guys, have a wonderful week. Bye.